Shares in American semiconductor makers have fallen due to fresh restrictions by Washington on the sale of high-tech components to China. Investors in chip designer Nvidia have lost more than 6%, while rival AMD saw its stock price fall almost 4%. Earlier this week, Nvidia said the U.S. government had ordered the firm to stop the sale of some computer parts to Chinese firms that use for the use of the development of artificial intelligence. The ban would cover products that account for around $400 million in annual revenues. According to the company, the U.S.'s targeted embargo aims to stop China from using American technology for military purposes. It's the latest escalation in tensions between the world's two largest economies. Here's the reaction from Beijing.
The U.S. politicizes and weaponizes technology as well as economic and trade issues, using them as tools to engage in technological blockade and decoupling technology. This is in an attempt to monopolize the world's advanced technology, maintain its own technological hegemony, and undermine the global supply chain and industrial chain based on close cooperation, which is doomed to fail.
Naeem Aslam is chief market analyst at Ava Trade in London. He tells us more about trade tensions between the U.S. and China.
It's safer to say that since Biden administration has taken the office, there were expectations that perhaps there would be de-escalation of tensions between the two major economies of the world, as you correctly pointed out. But sadly, that is not the case that we're seeing. We're seeing the U.S. Lawmakers picking up another battle with China on various different ends, and one of them you've already mentioned on Taiwan, really touching the sensitive nerves. Now, of course, that is having an implications, and the relationships are becoming more sour. So what's that going to really do in terms of prices going forward? We're only going to see prices moving to in one direction and one direction only, and that means more prices that we will have to pay for these chips, and that means that we will have to pay more prices for our phones, for our computers, for our electronics, anything which has these chips involved in them.
And of course, these inflationary pressures are adding a lot of strain on American households and companies. Can you describe just how will that affect the U.S. economy in particular, and of course China, which is a major trading partner for the U.S.?
Sure. I think it's that when it comes to inflation, it's not only about the United States. Like, look at the living cost crisis taking place in the United Kingdom. Consumers have not seen such a living crisis in over a century. And of course, inflation being at 40 years high in the United States, the Federal Reserve still remaining on the hawkish monetary policy stance, and they're still wanting to increase interest rate by perhaps 75 basis points, even though we have seen enormous amount of a weakness in the employment market yesterday in the ADP number. So the things are looking a lot more difficult.